We are back. Hopefully this microphone works. It's a new setup. But we'll do a quick little recap before we get tucked into the session truly. And then we'll do a full deep dive after the fact. So we are 17 and a half weeks out now from the show. First show being the Toronto Pro. And you'll see that obviously we're training pull today, but definitely got a bunch of new equipment in the facility. So we'll run through a bunch of the new pieces. This is definitely not new, but pretty much 3 out of the 6 pull movements are going to be on new machines. So it's exciting. Aside from that though, like I said, first week down in prep, we started at 18 weeks out. It's really not a full week yet. It's really Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days in. And we're down about 1.7 pounds, which is good. So we're gonna keep on cracking on with it. And like I said, I'll show you guys a full rundown after the fact, but we got about an hour before members start coming in. So I'm gonna get tucked into the session. So primer work's already been done. We did laying leg raises, the V-ups, pullovers, and then we did our first set of preacher curls on the new Atlantis. I don't know if I'm really pointing at that correctly, but the Atlantis preacher curl and 2-in-1 tricep extension, which is fucking sweet. So that's that. We'll get wrapped up with the chalking now and get tucked in. So we got 2 sets here. 1 pull downs. We'll rock and roll. All right, dual arm low to high row. This is a new one for me. Well, not new in general, but a new addition to this current setup. Sorry if that was fucking loud. Jeez. Due to us getting a new machine in. So, kind of guessing at the weight. Forgot to add, there's 1 set of Kelso shrugs in the primer work. So I did 3 plates with that. So kind of have a rough idea of how this machine strength curve is. But again, first set here will be a bit of a guessing game. So we'll give it a run. If we need to adjust, we'll go ahead and we'll adjust and take it on from there. One thing about me, I do love training in an empty gym with no frickin' headphones. Something about it. You're just getting my fucking sausage hands around this little thing. Here we go. Oh yeah. You go heavier. That should do the trick. If not, well, fuck. We tried. And then we just pivot again if need be. Gentle this time. Okay. So that's one thing I always do, especially with a new kit. Try 1 to 2 reps. And the more experienced you are, the easier it is to tell if a load is either too much or too little within that 1 to 2 reps. But generally speaking, you should be able to tell. So. Oh. Oh. Nice. And now we'll go back to that original 3 1/4 for back offset. Play there. All right, so I'm just gonna talk about it and get sorted out, but sorry if that camera angle is a bit different. Whatever, or whenever I'm recording, from set to set, I'll look back at the prior set just to see how form was and if I need to tweak anything, especially when trying out a new machine. So that's why the camera angle is a bit different. But one thing you want to think about here, with any sort of chest supported machine, would be a low to high, T-bar row, a neutral, high to low, whatever it is. You want to think about driving your chest into this pad as much as you possibly can. You'll see a lot of people try and hoof it up, you know. Great, you can use momentum, but to build a thick, dense, big back, you want to kill as much momentum as you possibly can. So driving your chest into this pad at the same time pulling your arms away from the body, or to and through the body, I should say, is going to create the most amount of tension possible within the entirety of the back. So key tip there, chest in, hands through the body. And when doing so, you want to think about wrapping the hands around the rib cage as close as you possibly can. Even me just doing that, I could get a solid contraction within the lat. So key tip, chest in, hands through the body, wrapping around the rib cage. Take note of that. You'll appreciate it later down the road. But second set in here now, and last set of this movement. We're just gonna go with one wrap this time, because that's easier. There we go. Nice. So another new piece of kit, the Atlantis high to low row. Now again, first time really giving this a run. So it's gonna be a game of trial and error. But start with 3 plates like what we did on the low to high row. See how the first 1 to 2 reps go. If need be, we adjust. Not sure if I like my feet on this pad or not. I'll give it a go though. One thing I'm not a fan of this machine though, excuse me. Now I might just be negligent to the fact, but this handle here makes no fucking sense. Yay and yay, cool, I understand, but that center one, unless you're very narrow in the shoulders, I cannot see that working out for anybody. I'm gonna go wide. See how she feels. Okay, 3 plates is good. So do 1 wide. For the sake of testing out the machine, we'll go neutral as well and see where we connect better with. The wide is good. It's kind of like Terry's major, minor, upper back focused, which isn't a bad thing, but scribble this down. one thing I did notice looking back at this pad to seat ratio to height of this sucker, it's kind of odd, because for me to get a semi-decent connection without dislocating my shoulder, to sit higher. And sitting higher, maybe I just have a longer torso. But this is like below my sternum. So, a little bit different. That's got a better connection. And honestly, doesn't feel as elevated, obviously, with that top rung handle. So, future, I'm gonna stick with the, what is that, supinated grip. All right, so back to the low to high row for set of Kelso shrugs. One set. All right, so we're on the move. Sorry if this is a little jiggly. I didn't bring my stabilizer. So, turn these legs on. We got one set, rear delts. We're gonna do it on the dual cables. Got 2 pull days. So one pull day I'll do on the cables like this. The other pull day I'll do on the reverse pectic. So I got this set up. I'll show you guys. All right, got it all set up. So I'll talk you guys through a little hack here. When setting these guys up, see how I have the carabiner above the actual ball in itself, as opposed to having it here? Quick way to not have that shit slap together when you're at the bottom range of motion. So same thing on this side, obviously. Put it above the actual, I don't know, ball in itself. That way you're not getting in your own way. Then, obviously, up higher. So this is going to be, as you see in the video, probably 3/4 to a foot above my actual head. I want to be coming down on an angle, okay? And the reason for that is because you want to be engaging teres major minor as well. I'll find like an anatomy chart and throw it up here too. But in doing so, having it on an angle and coming down on an angle, or having it up high and coming down on an angle, is you are working with the flow of the actual muscle in itself. So rear delts, teres major, teres minor, so on and so forth. So I'll throw a anatomy chart up, boom, there. But I'll get into the set. One set here, 12 to 20 reps. Let's get it. All right, so back to the preacher curl. Single arm this time. And 2 sets again. Nothing too wild. Put this is just a phenomenal piece of kit. So we're gonna run with it. Beauty. So slam up this last set. I'm gonna do a full recap on where everything's at. Prep wise, coaching wise, gym wise. Life, I guess. So we'll do it once we get home and fed and have the dogs out. So I'll finish up this last set. See you guys then. All right, so here we are. Gym is done. Dogs have been out. Garbage is done. Some more steps. It was a productive morning so far. Finished up some client work as well. So all is good in the HUD. But figured we would go a little bit deeper into the depths of where we're currently at. So obviously 17 and a half weeks out, as we kind of chatted about briefly while in the gym. But in terms of food, we probably dropped calories, at least on training days, just looking at it now, about 500 to 600 calories, and then rest days a little bit more significant, so call it 700 to 800, which is good. Still healthy in terms of appetite, which is what we want. I was kind of getting tired of eating so much food anyways, so this is a good shift in feeling hungry for once. Truly hungry. I definitely had no problem eating my food, and I was still pretty ravenous most days, but just eating that amount of volume of food after a while gets a little bit old. So I'm excited to be not eating as much volume in terms of carbohydrates. Veg and fruit all remains as is from the entirety of off-season throughout prep. We might drop the veg intake obviously a little bit closer to the show in itself, just to make sure that there's no issues with digestion, and that's about it. Aside from that, we have pulled into a little bit of a health phase because we've been pushing the cycle for quite some time, and longer than any other period of time, to be honest. But the simple fact of it all is that blood markers throughout everything, I think we pushed 27 weeks in terms of point A to point B of the cycle in itself and the off season in itself. The blood markers were bang on at all points in times, which is a first for me. So we took advantage of the situation at hand and we pushed a little bit further. Not like we added more overall grams per week or milligrams per week, but just the actual duration of the push in itself. So right now we are chilling at 10 IUs of GH, a little bit of Lantus, T4, T3, it's been a staple. The addition of Clen at 20 micrograms a day, not much at all. And then we got our bases in terms of test and mast. And again, which is nothing overly high, considering that we are throughout the midst of prep or the beginning parts of prep in itself. We are not doing as low of a cruise as usual, but again, a cruise in the sense of it is significantly lower than before when we were pushing. So we're at 300 milligrams of test and 300 milligrams of mast or primo. So again, pretty basic peptides in itself. We got MATTY, SLU, and we're doing a little bit of glutathione as well. It's not really a peptide, but you get the basis of it. So everything is moving smoothly. I've got no complaints. The physique is still fresh as can be, considering that we just came off pushing towards a health phase. The milligrams throughout the pushing itself is still well in the system, so there's no drop in performance or anything like that. And sleep, stress levels, all bang on the money. So that's where we're at right now for 17 and a half weeks out. I won't do a photo update on here for probably next couple of weeks. Again, I just want to kind of keep that, I don't want to say under wraps. I'm not here to hide anything, but for me, I personally don't even look at my physique when I'm in the shower, getting dressed, anything like that. Only time ever is just checking photos for Cuba. And that's about it. So I kind of want to just see how these next few weeks pan out in terms of progression. So we'll definitely post some in a few weeks' time once we've been in a deficit for a little bit. And I think we're doing about 4 weeks of like an aggressive tidy up phase. And then we'll do a little bit of a diet break for 4 or 5 days, then rinse, repeat from there throughout the entirety of prep. So a little bit of a switch up in regards to the approach this year, which is due to the fact that we did not get overly fat at all. Started at 201-ish pounds. That's when we last stepped on stage, between there and 203. And we got to pretty much 229 and change. There might have been 1 or 2 days where we hit 230, but it didn't stick or anything like that. So it's been a productive off season. Still quite lean throughout the entirety of it. Main goal for me personally was to make sure that the glutes were in check, still boxed in, and they were. So yeah, I'm happy. So let's see how these next couple of weeks go, and we will take things from there. Peace out. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.